I'm not quite up to my break yet. I told everybody I was going to take a break after this, but I do have like 2 more guitars to do. This is one of them. 1944 double aught, 18. It was in the video on the ebony truss rod. Ebony truss rods, they're kind of weak. Some people think they don't do anything at all. I guess ebony's a little bit of support, but these are notorious for getting too much relief into them. And even though I put the frets on this, and even though I took some relief out as I was dressing the fret, I did not want to sand up here on the neck too much. I just don't like to do that on vintage guitars. I'll do it on the 70s, but I won't do it too much on a vintage. Just a little bit maybe. And it's hard to judge on these because the ebony truss rods take a while to get their set. So this guitar has been strung up now for a couple of weeks. And what I've discovered as I'm doing the final check on it is that it buzzes right here. And you can hear this. Now, if you hold it up here to use what I call the next fret technique, and that's really simple. You just hold it up here, you fret a note, and you look at the clearance on the next fret. It helps a lot to have a backlight, but up here, you know, I'm seeing good clearance, it's going down right here at the 12th fret. And then by the time I get to the 13th fret, and especially when I fret the 13th, the 14th is sitting there. So I get suspicious, okay? We need more information on this before I just go willy-nilly filing stuff down. So this is where this comes in really, really handy. This is the notched straight edge. This is not the StewMac version. This is a cheaper version. Someone gave this to me. It's super handy here in the remote shop because I do use it a fair amount. Okay, so this is a 24.75 inch scale, and we're going to set it right here. Very hard to show this to you on the camera, but let's try it, and let's see if I can get it here. I'm going to move it around partly because I can't see on the camera what is actually going on here, but let's see if I can show it to you. Okay, there's a ton of neck relief going on up here, but it actually hits. In fact, you can see me. It actually hits right here. Let me get a feeler gauge. I believe this is about a 10 because we need to kind of measure it anyways. Yeah, this is a 10. And we're going to take this feeler gauge. I did a video on this, so this is where it's really handy. We're going to run it under here. It's clear and there's lots of room. Lots of room, lots of room, lots of room. I can feel a little friction coming in now. And boom, it's starting to hit. I can't push that feeler gauge under here, right here at the 12th fret. And when we get up here to the 13th, 14th, and right here at the body, there's no clearance at all. So what we have here is the so-called 14th fret hump. It's really not a hump. It really can't be a hump because the fingerboard can't bulge right here where the heel is. It's strictly a matter of too much neck relief. The neck is bowing down here, and when it comes up out of the hole, it creates a hill. But that's different from a hump where it would go straight and then bump. You see what I'm saying? A hump would be like this, where it's going straight and then bump, and that's hump. That's not the situation here. The situation is a dip that creates a hill that we have to come out of. Now, you got to get the relief out of there. And like I said, I would normally take relief off up here to bow it back like that and give us a better angle. But the guitar is already together, it's already fretted, it's a vintage guitar. I don't want to take material off here, so we're going to take it off here at the body, which is something I rarely do, for the reason that I can usually get it someplace else, and I don't like to sand stuff up here because that's not the problem. But it is a solution, and in this case it's probably the best solution to come up here and take a little material off up here. So we're going to show you how I do that. A lot of people just jump to this step right off the bat, but it's really not the issue. The issue is not the hump up here per se, it's the dip in the fingerboard. But I can't really get that dip out. without massively reshaping the neck, which I don't want to do on this vintage 1944. And we just need a little bit of clearance up here. And the reason I don't like, I'm talking to you while I put these strings up, the reason I don't like to take it off any more than I have to up here is because it changes the feel of the neck. It changes it to a thinner feel. Well, you're not playing it up here. So I can take material off here and you'll never know, you know. And to make this nice and flat right here. So the first thing I'm going to do is get my soldering iron heated up here. It's kind of a drag because I just put these frets in, but that's so be it. I always mark them on the treble side. I don't know why I mark them on the treble side, but I do. So I've got one mark here, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to take 4 frets out, and I'm going to put them back in the same spot because they're already nicely beveled and they fit and all that. So what we're going to do is heat this up. They're glued in. I pretty much always glue my frets in. These are glued with bottled hide glue, which is not a really strong glue. The only reason for the glue right now is because it lubricates the frets and helps them go in, and it also takes up any air space that's in between the fret, and that's the part I really like. So anyway, we're going to heat this up, squeeze that glue out of there, pop these frets out of here, and I'm going to show you how I measure this. This is a fun measurement in just a second. It's actually the same as using the notch straight edge, but it's a little bit different. We're going to heat these frets. I want it to come out nice and clean. Of course, we're going to be doing some sanding over here, so if there's any chips or anything, it's not that big of a deal, but you know, I do like the frets to come out clean. Like I said, I marked them, so I'm going to be able to put the same ones back in. I'm only going to take 4 out because that's really all I need to work with right here. And it was the 14th fret that was really the worst one. Whew, that was super good. That's right. Whew. That's where I did the body. Whew. Yeah. I use super glue to hold that one in. What I mean by the body is there's holes under here where I drilled in to take the neck off. And I had to take this neck off twice because I was not happy with it the first time. I didn't give it enough for a variety of reasons. Number one, I really didn't have the guitar strung up the whole time I was working with it. I just went straight to it. So I didn't have a good baseline measurement. And then number two, I just didn't measure it enough. So after I got it strung up and the neck relief kicked in and everything else kicked in, I just didn't have enough saddle height. And so I went ahead and took the neck off again and redid it again. It's not that big of a deal, especially if you take it off pretty soon before the glue's really had a chance to get solid. There's a difference between glue drying, and glue crystallizing, I guess, and really setting. And it takes probably, I don't know, a week, 2 weeks for this fish glue and hide glue for that matter to really take a set. It's plenty strong up until then, but after a while it crystallizes and gets very brittle, dry, and then it gets harder to take apart. But if you do it within the first couple of days, and I knew pretty quick that I was going to have to take it off, even though I didn't want to. But if you do it pretty quick, it's not that big of a deal. All right, where is this one? Okay, here's this little straight edge, and it gaps these frets, which is another reason I only took 4 out. Now, if we hold it up to here, I do think, yeah, I think you can see a pretty nice gap here. Take a look at the clearance. I'm trying to hold it with my pinky. Let me show you. Take a look at the clearance right here when it comes off the fret, and then right over here where it comes off this fret, and then look at this rise in between right here. You can see the fingerboard come up to the level, or the straight edge here. I can't see it on the canvas. I'm just going to move the camera around. Hopefully we'll get a shot at it. Okay, and you can also measure that. These frets should be about 4 40 thousandths of an inch high. Let's put 40 thousandths of an inch. Here's 42. Lay that across here. Not quite. Let's try a 20 and an 18. I'm going to go back over here to my side. I'm supposed to be, there you go. 20 and 18 just barely fits. Let's go 20 and 16 in. I'll show you why I'm doing this. Let's go 20 and 16. So that goes under there real nice. And it should also go under, no, these are older frets. I didn't replace them, I only did 15. So, what I want to do is we're going to go with an 18 and a 16. 18 and 16. This should fit under here pretty nice now. There we go. And you can see right away, immediately the feeler gauge hits. I can't even pull it up to the next one. And it's a little bit low right here, but it almost goes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on this and sand this and scrape this down right here until the feeler gauge passes. And that way I know that I have the same clearance up here as I do over here. So once again, I'm running this feeler gauge in here, and I can see I have an 18 and a 16 that's clearing, but it immediately hits right here. Definitely hits. Almost clears right there. And again, these frets are a little bit lower. These are original frets that are a little bit lower than my originals. But I'm going to work on this part of the fingerboard until those feeler gauges pass. And then that way I know how much I've gone, and I know that my fingerboard is straight going across there. So I'm going to start by just using a scraper right here. And eventually we're going to sand, but having a 16-inch radius or 14-inch radius isn't that important right up here because you're not playing with it. You know, you're not playing up here as much, and it's just different. So it's just faster to just scrape this right here. And we're going to be taking a fair amount of material off of this. And you want to watch these dots here because you can take the dots off if you go too much, but I don't think we're going to go that much. We're only going to go about probably 6 thousandths of an inch would be my guess. And I could measure that and find out, but again, my hump is right here. So this is where I'm focusing. As I'm starting my scraping on this gap, I'm working it across to this gap, meaning I'm going to pick it up, but my main scraping is going to be right here between the 14th and the 15th fret. So I'm coming across at that angle, moving this way, and then I'm going to come across at the other angle too. So I'm going to cross scrape, and that'll help keep the fingerboard in one direction. So it keeps you from scraping too hard on one side or another. Alright, been sanding on this and scraping on it for a little while, and we're about ready to check it. Now, so there's a second way to check this. Is probably better actually. When I'm doing a straight edge from this fret to this fret, I'm taking into account the drop off on the fingerboard. So the fingerboard is going to start dropping off about right here actually, because the neck is on the body at an angle. So when we get straight from here to here, we're actually going to take off a little bit more than we need to. So a better way to do it, or another way to do it, is take your notch straight edge, set the flat edges on the frets, and this way you have a straight edge, because I don't have a straight edge over here right now. You know, just an actual straight edge. I have this, and so I'm going to set this on top of the fret so it creates a straight edge. I'm going to take 22 and a 20, and we're going to run them up under here, right under the fret, and they just fit. Now I can take this and I can scoot it down here and see it fits. So now I have clearance. Everything's clearing now. I feel pretty good about putting this frets back in there. See, I got good clearance. That means that we took this hump out. And that means that from here on down, I'm going to have a straight plane to work with, which is what I wanted. Okay? So, I'm gonna get over here and make sure these fret slots are clean. I use the saw, just run them through here, get all the dust out of there. So your frets are gonna, God, this thing grab it here, you know. And there we go. I'm gonna put the frets back in, which you don't really need to see. And then we will put some strings on it and check it out again. We've got it all cleaned up. Everything's nice and level and flat and flush and undipped and everything. So first thing to do is check the next fret. And the action's really low right now because there's no tension on it. And boom, immediately when I get up here to this area that I was working on, I've got tons of clearance now. I actually have more clearance than I do down here, which is fine because as soon as I put full tension on the neck, it's gonna bow a little bit. So see, that's almost no tension, and it's right on the edge of buzzing. In fact, it probably is buzzing a little bit, but. Now we're getting good clearance up there, so we'll put the rest of them on. We're getting a lot better clearance than we had a minute ago. Yeah, I got more clearance now than I do on the other frets, which is fine. Tons of clearance. Good. Excellent. That's what I wanted to see. Okay, mission accomplished. I want to make sure we get this concept about the 15th fret hump. This is a guitar body right here. And what's going on here is, remember your neck. First of all, this is what we do not have. This is a mistake that so many people make, in my humble opinion, my experience, is they get a neck that's straight like this on the body. It's stuck to the board. Then they have a neck that's like this, and then there's a heel right there. Your neck is not like that, and so therefore the 15th fret hump is not a hump like that. You see, that's a hump. That's a hump. That's a bump in the road, and that's not the way it works. This is the way it works. Okay, so here's your guitar body now. This is all exaggerated so we can make it more obvious. This is your bridge, this is your saddle. Your strings go like this. Like that. Therefore your neck is on the body at an angle. Like that. It's unbelievable how this thing sticks to this board. So here's your neck, and here's your heel. There's your strings. So as you can see that when you got a fret right here, the string then comes down like this. Okay? So, what happens when you have neck relief, we're going to curve it in here. I'm going to get rid of this because you know there's a heel right here. We're going to get rid of that. Now we're going to draw a neck that has relief on it. We're going to come down here and exaggerate that relief. So this neck comes down like this. And there's your nut. That's an exaggerated, obviously. So when you go to fret your string, let's see if I can get this nice and straight for us. There we go. There's your string. So now you can see what happens here. This ought to be really obvious, huh? When you go to fret this, you have to pull the string all the way down into that relief. And when you do that, this string is going to come down into here. And it's going to have to clear this to get to this bridge here. Boom! And there is your so-called hump. The hump is due totally. Not almost totally. There's a few rare exceptions. But this hump is due almost totally to having excess relief in here. So you can see that if your neck was straight and didn't have this relief, like this. Let's get rid of all this. If your neck was straight, didn't have the relief, just as you say, this is the, well, we need neck, don't we? There we go. There's a nice straight neck. Now, the extension, when it gets to here, is going to have to bend to go to the body, and that's what the drop-off of the neck is. And a lot of people look at that drop-off and they panic. I don't want it to drop off. Well, that's the way your acoustic guitar works, unless it's a Taylor, which has a shim system that fits under there, which is a whole other case. But you can see now that if this is the string and you got a fret here, it's going to easily clear this. You see that? In fact, it's just going to run right straight up this way. This is your fretted string, okay? You're fretting it right here. And it clears the body easily. There is no hump. So that hump, so-called hump, I don't like to call it a hump. It's a rise. It's really caused by a dip in the neck back here. And also, this is, yeah. Okay, this is hard to illustrate on here, but if your neck was straight, if your neck was straight on the body, like this, if your neck was straight, and the strings were pulling up on it, then your neck would then bow like this. This is your neck. And then your strings would come across here. When you push down here, you would see the relief right here. This is relief. So your string would look like this. Well, that's a long ways. I wish I'd make a shorter neck here, but here's your string. Here's your string fretted. Okay? So when you fretted the string over here, it would still be a straight shot to the saddle. You wouldn't have any issues. But again, the problem is this, is that when the neck is bowed, it actually doesn't compress like that. It actually doesn't bend. So what happens, once again, here's your guitar body. And this is probably going over most of your heads. Because you got to sit here and you got to work with this. You got to figure it out, play with rulers and sticks to get this concept. I understand that it is a lot of information. It's a concept that a lot of you have probably not considered before. Not being condescending here, I'm saying this is a lot of geometry and a lot of math, which most people don't like to deal with anymore. So there's your neck, and it's actually on the body again. Look at that. Thing's almost magnetic on this thing. But that's good, that means it's a good straight edge. I'm going to do it this way now. Okay, so here's your neck. When a compressive force goes onto this neck like this, this is force. This neck does not go like this. This neck does not come up like that, and it does not make a bend. The nut does not rise. When the compressive force of the strings comes in, the nut does not rise like this, and so it does not become this. That's not what happens. What happens when that force, string force, comes into the nut right here, so now you got a force coming in here that's the strings. What happens here is this neck bows. The nut goes this way. So that nut actually pushes in towards the body of the guitar, and that's what causes the neck to bow down below the level of the guitar. The nut does not rise up above the level of the guitar, because that would help you if it did. because that would bring the strings up closer to the plane of this fret right here. But that's not what happens, and you can prove this to yourself by getting a guitar with an adjustable truss rod, laying a straight edge down the body that's parallel to the neck. So that's your standard, that's not going to move. And then you can loosen that truss rod up to give the neck a lot of relief, and you will see, if you have good eyes and you make a good model, you will see the nut drop below the level of the straight edge that was on there. So try it and see. Anyway, the point of all this is that this so-called hump up here is not a hump. It is a dip caused by the neck bowing down and creating relief. And so this is your problem here. So in order to get a nice straight shot when you're fretting right here, to get a straight shot from here to here, you got to get the body out of the way, basically, you see? You see what I'm saying? So if you want to make a straight shot, let's say you're going to fret the 7th fret, which is in the middle of the neck. You're going to fret right here. So that string comes down to here, and if you're going to make it to the saddle here, you've got to do this. You've got to get the body out of the way. You either have to get the body out of the way, or you have to get that neck relief out so that the neck relief comes up, and here you can see it. The neck relief comes up here, now you have a straight shot again. I mean, that's a pretty clear example right there. So that's why you got to take a little bit of material out here. And again, this is an exaggeration like crazy. It's not, we're talking, 10,000ths of an inch, 5,000ths of an inch here, which is thinner than my ruler. But that's the issue. So, okay? For the last time, the 15th fret hump is not a hump. It's not a hump right there. It's not the neck coming down here and going on the fingerboard bouldering. That's not what it is. It's impossible. How is the fingerboard going to rise over the body, over the neck block? The neck block is right here in the guitar. How is the body going to rise up there magically? The only way it's going to do it is if it's not glued down, which might be a problem. It can rise up here because of humidity causing the upper bout to expand, but that's a rare thing. So, anyways, I do not like the term 15th fret hump, but I don't really have a better term for it because what it's really caused by is excess neck relief. So, I would call it the what's the word I want? Not aftermath, not aftershock. Residual. It's a residual of excess neck relief. But that's a little bit of a mouthful to say when most people like 15th fret hump. So, okay, I just wanted to be clear about this. It's a, I'm going to get a lot of comments, oh, he talks too much, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it's an advanced concept in luthery, okay? And, most people just don't consider it. I can't tell you how many videos I've seen talking about neck relief, and they make these statements, but they missed the number one point, which is that the neck is on the body at an angle. All right, see you later.